Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Development Review Commission. This is a regular meeting for our Tuesday, August 11th, 2026. Tonight, I'm going to read a little preamble here. The Development Review Commission is created to hold public meetings and hearings to provide analysis and recommendations to the City Council regarding general land use policies and applications where the Commission has recommendatory power, and to render final decisions on specified applications where the Commission has final decision-making power. The Development Review Commission recognizes that the creation of a desirable environment throughout the city for residents, business, and industry is a prime requisite for the interdependence of land values, aesthetics, and good site planning by promoting harmonious, safe, attractive, and compatible development that is therefore considered to be in the best interest of public health, safety, and general welfare. Any person aggrieved by a final decision of the Development Review Commission may file an appeal to the City Council within 14 calendar days after the Development Review Commission has rendered its decision. Development Review Commission recommendations to City Council are not final decisions. Tonight with us on the Commission, joining us remotely is Commissioner Robert Miller. And then to my right, Commissioner Stephen Richter, Vice Chair Michelle Schwartz. To my left, Commissioner Kendon Young, Commissioner Linda Spears, and Commissioner Barbara Lloyd, and I'm the Chair, Andrew Johnson. Tonight with us from the City, we have Jeff Tamilevich, Ryan Levake, Michelle Dahlke, Robert Mancelio, Lucas Jensen, Joanna Berry, and Jason Wolf. Anyone wishing to speak on an item tonight, please fill out one of these comment cards and bring it up to Ms. Berry, and you'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak, and that time will be monitored. Some notes: we did, during our study session, develop a consent agenda, and after our first two items, I will go through that consent agenda. And that consent agenda will be voted on as a whole. We'll just hold one vote for that consent agenda, though it may contain more than one item. And anyone wishing to speak on one of those items, please get my attention, and I can pull that from the consent agenda. But first, let's do item number 2, which is consideration of meeting minutes. That is the Development Review Commission study session and regular meeting from 7/28/2026. Could I get a motion for approval on those items?
Motion to approve meeting minutes, items 2A and 2B.
Okay, there is a motion for approval from Commissioner Richter. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Spears. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And Commissioner Miller, are you in favor?
Yes.
Okay, and that passes unanimously. Next, I will move on to our consent agenda. So first item on our consent agenda is request use permit, item 4B, request use permit to allow a new 3-story single-family. Oh, I'm sorry, not on our consent agenda. We will be hearing item 4B. Item 4A is on our consent agenda, which is request use permit to allow a detached engineered shade structure within the front yard setback for Fairview residents located at 1233 East Marigold Lane. Was anyone here wishing to speak on that item? Okay, seeing none. And then the next item on our consent agenda is item 4C, which is request use permit to allow a drive-through restaurant in the CSS zoning district for Dutch Bros Coffee located at 1801 East Southern Avenue. Was anyone here wishing to speak on that item? Okay. Are you wishing to speak on that item? So I'm going over our consent agenda. If you are wishing to speak on an item, please fill out one of these cards and bring it up to Ms. Berry. If the item you're wishing to speak on is item 4C, is that correct? Okay, so we will pull that from our consent agenda. All right, the consent agenda consists of item 4A. Can I get a motion for the approval of our consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda, item 4A.
All right, so there's a motion for the approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Tiebreaker. Seconded by Commissioner Lloyd. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, so next item, our first item we're going to hear tonight is item 4A, request use permit to allow detached, sorry, that was our consent agenda, getting these mixed up. First item that we're going to hear tonight is item 4B, request use permit to allow a new 3-story single-family house with balconies for Bernardin Home located at 1408 South Bernardin Lane. If the applicant could please come up and present your case this evening.
Hello, my name is Edmir Juja. I'm the architect for the project representing the owner. And we do have here, just kind of to show general location of the property. It's just south of Spence Avenue. It's on Bernardin. It is zoned R4. And lot is like 4,500 square feet lot. It's a really small lot. And naturally, investor is trying to maximize the livable area. So we're proposing 4-bedroom home, and third level has actually a flex room on top. It's like about 2,700 square feet of livable area. We worked with planners to get it to this point to meet all zoning requirements. So kind of everything what we're proposing, it is in accordance to zoning rules. We are in general R4 area. All surrounding properties are R4 or multifamily. We're just proposing single-family homes, so there will not be any issues with traffic, issues with the nuisance, and it's just single-family home. So you have here a little bit larger area of the general zoning, so we're kind of in the middle of this R4 zone. And you can tell even, it's kind of the smallest lot out of all other lots. So now we can have this site plan, and we are proposing, as required by the zoning, we have 10 feet setbacks on north, south, and west. And where we depicted, understanding there might be some concern about privacy, so there may be some trees there that will create a buffer between our home and the neighbors. So this is general layout. We have just 2-car garage on main level, and on just common areas, kitchen, living, dining. And on the second level, we have 4 bedrooms with the bathrooms. And on top, we have a little gathering space. On our elevations, you can see how we comply with the maximum height. Top maximum allowed height is 40 feet. We are way below 40 feet. We also comply with this 30 feet step back, which is shown with this kind of red dashed line. So on all elevations, we meet all those requirements. And this is just one depiction of how it's going to look like at the end. Just quick overview of requirements, what's required, what we're providing. Building height, so we are almost 4 feet less than required, that allowed coverage, allowed 60%, we are 39. Landscape area, we are exceeding landscape area. Front setback is per requirements, and we comply with all side and rear setbacks. Again, it's just kind of all these issues is just typical for single-family home. We are not exceeding any typical issues that you will see with especially when you're in a multifamily zoning and proposing single-family home. So with that, I will yield to any questions.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Jung?
So did I hear correctly that you're representing the owner?
Yes,
And I noticed that there are 5 bedrooms, but you had mentioned 4 in your presentation.
it's 4 bedrooms, and there's a flex room on, it's not classified as a bedroom, one on a third level. But there are 4, but you can see on second level, there are 4 bedrooms.
So it's just incorrectly labeled because it says bedroom number 4 on that sketch.
Oh, maybe, yeah, apologize for it. Oh, one thing that I didn't mention, I'm sorry, do you have any other questions?
Several, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, because as far as layout, and you will see on elevations, any windows that are facing north and south, they're not full-size windows. They're all kind of clerestory windows with a sill of 6 feet. So there's no way somebody can actually peek on a north and south, to north and south neighbors. And you can see on elevations, let's say here on north elevation, you see all these kind of skinny windows. Other windows are kind of from the bathroom and stairs. Especially here on the south elevation, you can see all these skinny windows. Those are basically with a high sill.
And then you had mentioned the investor is wanting to maximize the use of this space. Based off of this looks like a multifamily, or could be designed as a multifamily, renting individual rooms to students. I work by that area and walk by it quite frequently, and have been aware of many issues of other multifamily units that have had fraternities and sororities living in them. And so I'm curious about if you have the multifamily classification or ordinance, why are you going for a single family versus the other?
Yeah, I mentioned investor. Yes, he is investor, but he is building this home actually for his kids. They're gonna be in ASU, so that's the main purpose of the house. Now, what's gonna happen in future? I don't know. If we have to put something in a entitled and deed, it cannot be rented. I mean, I don't know what restrictions are.
So if his kids are planning to go there, this is maybe 4 to 5 years worth, which is then preparing this for a room level renting out or a large fraternity or sorority renting out. I'm curious about how this 3-story, which currently the vast majority of the other properties in that area are single family and a good portion of them are duplexes. How does this fit in with the rest of the community after his kids are graduated and out here?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's I guess it's his property, right? There's only one kitchen designed, so it's one family.
With a half-functional kitchen on the 3rd floor.
No, there's no. It's just kind of. There's no kitchen. There's no cooking device. It's just like sink, just bar.
Because this looks a lot like a European rental. And now I'm not trying to suggest anything other than a life cycle of 4 students living here for 4 years, them leaving, and then the traffic issue that you had mentioned in a single-family home plan does not create any additional challenges. Post these kids living here and going to ASU, the potential of renting this out and having 5 potential residents. I'm curious about the traffic that this could cause in whatever this post life of the building.
Well, we have 2-car garage. Yes, we are in multifamily zoning, and we are proposing single-family home. So I just don't understand why is the problem having 4 bedrooms in one single-family home and 100 feet away from ASU. So we are ready to comply with any additional requirements if stipulations are needed. But I just don't see the point.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the traffic piece that may come from this. If you have walked this street like I have, barely 2 cars can get by going down this street. It is a high student rental area, and the potential for either spillover of vehicles with a building that is highly plausible to be rented out by the room gives me pause to question the traffic study that was done on this. So that's my only comment on this. I'm not sure what actions we're able to take at this phase, but wanted to note these for the record. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. And we will have more opportunity to comment as a commission after we have the public section. And you're free to offer up any additional conditions of approval or things of that nature at that point. Any other questions for the applicant? No? Okay. If we could get Mr. Monsalio?
Thank you. Chair Johnson, members of the commission. So this is a use permit request for a single-family residential 3-story build. Site is zoned R4, which is multifamily zoning, as is the majority of the area. Here are some site context photos. Photo number 1 is of the property itself. Photo number 2 is looking south across, or actually this is east across the street. And then number 3 is also across the street, and 4 is of the property itself and the neighboring house to the north. Here is the site plan. As the applicant had stated, it is meeting the setbacks, 10 feet on the north and south side. The back is also 10 feet, and the front is 20 feet. And here excuse me. Here's the first floor plan. We'll see a 2-car garage, dining and kitchen behind that, and a first floor restroom. And then the stairs going up to the second floor, which contains 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, centrally located laundry area. And this is the 3rd floor. It is a flex room, but this meets our definition for a bedroom. So that's the reason for this being classified as 5 bedrooms. This does have an additional bathroom and a bar area. It also has 2 covered terraces, one to the west outside that flex room and one to the east. The one to the east does span the whole length of the roof area. The one to the west originally covered the remainder of that roof area. We requested that the applicant limit that to just the covered portion to what you see there to help mitigate any privacy issues. And this is the roof itself. Here is the east elevation. This is what will face Bernardin. Garage, front door, and then 2nd and 3rd level. There is the step back requirement, so in R4 the height maximum is 40 feet, but if this is next to any single family residential, anything above 30 feet has to be stepped back 1 foot in for every 1 foot of height it gains. And so that is the reason for that design. Here is the south elevation. Again, the window placement has been utilized to maximize privacy to the residents to the south. Here is the west elevation, so this is looking from the backyard. And then the north elevation. Again, window placement for that 2nd level is utilizing privacy. There are no windows on that 3rd level. And here are the materials, mostly stucco with some stone veneer and metal panel roof on that side of the roof that slopes down. Getting into the approval criteria for this use permit. Number 1, any significant increase in vehicular or pedestrian traffic. There will most likely be an increase in vehicular and pedestrian traffic as this is a 5-bedroom home. The current home is 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom. It's about 900 square feet. So just the number of people that can live in a 5-bedroom home would increase vehicular traffic. There is a 2-car garage. Up to 5 bedrooms in a single-family residence requires 2 parking spaces. So that 2-car garage does meet that requirement. There are also accommodations for parking in the driveway. And this area does have a resident permit parking. So there is permit parking available on the street if needed. But the 2-car garage is meeting the requirement for a 5-bedroom home. Number 2, nuisances arising from emissions of odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke. This is not expected to create any of those at a level exceeding a typical single-family residence. Number 3, contribution to the deterioration of a neighborhood. This is a proposed redevelopment and an investment in the property. So it does not conflict with the deterioration of the neighborhood or conflict with any general plan section. And it will provide updated energy efficient construction, and it will offer a newer alternative in housing for the area. Again, this is R4, so it could be an apartment rental type product. This is a single family home, which would be owned. Number 4, compatibility with existing surrounding structures. The single family residents in the immediate area are mostly single story. These homes date from the 40s to 60s, and that was the style of construction at the time. There are some recent construction projects that are 3-story townhouses. One is at the corner of Spence and Rita Lane. Those are 3-story townhomes. There is also a 3-story residence at the south end of Rita Lane. That looks like it was a shipping container type design. There is also recently approved an 8-unit 3-story townhouse product at the south end of Bernardin Lane, so at the south end of this street. And of course, on the north side of Spence, there are some larger apartment buildings. Number 5, adequate control of disruptive behavior, both inside and out. No nuisances are anticipated with this development. We were concerned with the 3rd floor terrace, which we asked the applicant to redesign, and they have done that to help mitigate any privacy concerns to the neighbors. And then we also have approval criteria for the 2nd-story addition. So number 1, the design is compatible with the architecture of the building on site and compatible with surrounding neighborhoods. Again, there are some newer residential products that are 3-story, but the surrounding residences are from the 40s to 60s and are predominantly single level. The site is within the downtown Tempe, Rio Salado, ASU Northwest Neighborhoods character area, which encourages a diverse range of housing types, sizes, and styles, and this does meet that. And again, the property is zoned R4, multifamily, which would typically see an apartment-style rental product. But this being single-family residence, it does promote ownership. And number 2, there are design considerations for privacy to adjacent properties. We've seen that with the placement of the windows on that 2nd floor. And again, the redesign of the terrace in response to staff concerns will help with privacy. And number 3, there is sufficient parking on site or on street frontage. The garage does meet the required 2 spaces, and there is room on the driveway, and then on the street there is additional permit parking if needed. A neighborhood meeting was not required for this, and staff has received a phone call from concerned adjacent property owner about the scale of the building. And staff is recommending approval, subject to conditions, and there are no non-standard conditions of approval. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Mencilio? So I'm just trying to think this, 20 years down the road, while one development of this nature might not add a whole lot of traffic to that street, what if every lot does the same thing? It's kind of death by a thousand cuts in that way. So what are we considering as significant for approval criteria number one related to parking or traffic?
Chair Johnson, it's interesting, the required parking spaces for the existing home, which is 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom under 1,000 square feet, is 2 required spaces. So the same as a new product of 5 bedrooms, 2,700 square feet. We can only really require, for parking wise, we can only require what is outlined in the code.
Do we know, because that is permit parking, which I think is a plus for that neighborhood, do we know the total number of permits that are allowed per home? Is it unlimited, or is there a limit to that number? Do you know?
I'm actually unsure of that. That's run through the transportation department. They administer the parking, the residential parking permits.
We might have someone here that can help.
We do.
It's 3 permits per home.
If you can, go ahead and come up. We'll catch what you say in the mics here. And if you could just state your name and.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Corey Steele, Senior Civil Engineer from Traffic Engineering Department. With our resident permit parking, there are 3 permits allowed for home, and then we allow 1 guest permit as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So conceivably, they could park 4 cars in the driveway if they're using the driveway and the garage, and then they could have up to 4 more on the street.
Yeah, that's
Possibly.
correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much. All right, now we will begin our public comment portion. And I do have 2 comment cards already filled out here. If anyone else is wishing to speak on these items that has not filled one out, please bring one up to the front. First up, I have Raul Ruiz. And if you could please restate your name if I said it wrong, and city of residence.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. My name is Raul Ruiz. My parents live on 1406 South Bernardin Lane. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to share my remarks. Chair Johnson, I want to thank you for your language that you used from your preamble in which you cited that this group is committed to compatible development. Commissioner Young, I want to thank you sincerely for your thorough questions, because they're the very concerns we have. In fact, I want to share with you real quickly, my family's been in the neighborhood for over 80 years. In fact, Robert just cited the property on Rita Lane and Spence. My family sold that property to the developer, and currently tonight I'm here to discuss the fact that 2 adjacent properties to this particular project belong to my family. 1406 South Bernardin, which is directly north to the property, and 1411 South Gentilly, which is directly behind it, which would be completely shaded by this structure. 80 years ago, my grandparents moved into the Gentilly Terrace neighborhood. My family has a storied history in this neighborhood. It's been the setting for generational history for our family. And I want to share with you that we have particular concerns, not only of the scale of this, because the scale of this particular project would dramatically change the character, the privacy, it would the sight lines. There's so many different concerns that we have with the scope of this. In fact, I just noticed on the illustration a bit ago, there are 3 air conditioning units that are on this property. That speaks very heavily to me that this does have the potential to become a multifamily rent out down the future. You know, the owners currently bought the place a year ago, During this time, there have been occupants in the residence. In fact, I've got photos from just days ago. The front yard is littered with dog feces. There's an old camper just kind of thrown upside down there. It has undoubtedly become the biggest eyesore on Bernardin Lane, and it speaks to the disregard that this particular property owner has for my neighborhood, my parents' neighborhood. My parents still reside at 1408. My sister resides at 1411. And you know, just the audacity of the scope of this in a neighborhood where literally there's not a single two-story house that exists on Bernardin Lane. And I heard mention of traffic. Just to paint a picture, last month, and this is a matter of public record, last month there were 11 calls by police to this address at 1408. The current property owner has little regard for who's there. In fact, I don't even know if they're there by way of a lease agreement or not. For the first few months, they were there with no electricity. And I want to share with you, when those paramedics and police are called, the traffic alone of just the emergency vehicles getting through on Bernardin Lane is impossible. So I ask you to please consider those remarks. Please include them as part of the record. And I just wanted to share our complete concern with this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have Admir, and if you can come up and, oh, I'm sorry, this is the applicant. Were there any other, was there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Okay, so the other comment card we had was from the applicant. All right. With that, I'd like to invite the applicant back up, and you can address any comments that you would like to address, if you would like to.
Well, I mean, just as a design professional, I can speak in my name, and then I can just speak in my name. As far as the anything that's not compliant with the rules, there's law, it has to be, if somebody has to be removed from the property because they're not complying with the current laws, it has to be vacated. So that's what I can tell on my behalf. But as far as design professional, property is zoned R4. So why zone 4? We are beyond that point, and we just complying with the zoning rules and trying to make it as best as possible for the general growth of the community and then for the sake of development. So that would be my answer to all these complaints. Again, if there's something not legal happening on the property, there are tools to do it differently. I don't think so. This is the place to do it with things that's related to the property.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Any follow-up questions? No? Okay. Mr. Monsalio, is there anything else we wanted to? Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. Anything else you wanted to add? I was looking for you in the audience, yeah.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh. Commissioner Lloyd?
Thank you, Chair. I do have one question for staff. Then you talked about the outdoor terrace facing west and minimizing the size of that for privacy concerns. Just playing out, if there are multiple occupants in this house and it doesn't appear to be a lot of outdoor space other than that terrace facing east, which still remains quite large, it does to me seem to set up potential for nuisance and disruption facing east. What was the city's logic behind allowing that outdoor space?
Yes, Commissioner Lloyd,
Can you turn your microphone on?
yeah, I'm gonna go up there. Sorry about that. Commissioner Lloyd, staff requested that the applicant shrink the west-facing terrace because it is directly next to a residence there. We wanted to preserve a little bit of privacy to the back. For the front terrace, we decided that since it is street-facing, the whole span wouldn't have a major impact on privacy to another residence directly at the property line. Since there is the front yard setback of 20 feet and then the street, we decided that the front terrace could remain larger.
So in general, I'll wait. I'll reserve comment for later. That was my question, so thank you.
Commissioner Miller, did you have any questions for either the applicant or the city?
Yes, I did. Specifically for Mr. Manzanillo, when we're talking about compatibility with existing developments and, facilities, structures, et cetera, that are around the applicant, how do we assess that? Because this particular development isn't really compatible with most of the surrounding houses, is it? How do you assess that?
Yes, Commissioner Miller, that is a great question. And what we do is we look at the general plan and we look at the character area plans, and we look at how those documents influence new construction in an area that is established. So the character area plan and the general plan state that there should be a diversity in styles and in housing types for established areas. This one in particular, that language was used. And we look at new construction projects in the area, and there have been 3-story projects built recently in the past few years. But you're correct with the established residences being 1 story. This is large in scale to those, but we use the general plan and the character area plans to justify that difference in style.
Okay, which I appreciate. That's a very good way of looking at it. My difficulty is, and I will preface this by saying that I think this is a very good design. I like it. The difficulty I'm having is that we're being very forward-looking in terms of putting this particular building into an area that has very little else like it at this, and which is okay. Somebody's got to be the first. You got to put it in. At the same time, it's going to have a significant impact on a very compact neighborhood. And I'm not sure that this is perhaps the best way to move forward into that compact neighborhood and, in a sense, enlarge it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I would say the context of this area is that it is zoned for multifamily. It is R4, and that inherently allows a larger product. It's allowed to go to 40 feet. The side setbacks are smaller than a single-family zoning district. I realize that this area has been developed as on the south side of Spence, mostly single-family. There are some duplexes in there, but it is zoned for R4 multifamily. And if it was an apartment building that's being proposed, I don't believe the applicant would need a use permit. It's only requiring a use permit because it's single family.
So since you went into that direction, I have a follow-up question. So with an apartment type product, there would be other requirements that could potentially reduce the overall footprint of that building, like parking requirement, would there be additional parking requirements or other requirements for that kind of product versus a single family that would change what this looks like?
Yes, Chair Johnson, there would be different parking requirements. There would be different landscape requirements. Setbacks would be the same. Height allowance would be the same.
Okay. Did you have anything else, Commissioner Miller?
As a follow-up then, in the future, should the owner or subsequent owner decide that they wish to convert this to an apartment building or something like that, would that trigger new requirements, and would we be back here revisiting this?
Commissioner Miller, if this was converted to apartments, each room would need to have a kitchen facility installed. Currently, with a single-family residence, there's one kitchen at the ground level. If this were to be apartments at some point, that would be a change that would need to be made.
Then as a follow-up, what if this was converted to a situation where you were renting, in a sense, a quote, short-term rental for a room, and short-term being a somewhat flexible term, what would that trigger?
I'll say unfortunately for us, it doesn't trigger anything. We can't regulate that. That's not something that is in our purview for this.
And I would summarize by saying that's my problem with it.
All right. Any other questions for staff, comments? I think my biggest concern relates to the rooftop patio as a potential disruptive element of this development. With this being kind of the first that's happening in this neighborhood, potentially there'll be more. I think that component to me is potentially the most disruptive to the rest of the neighborhood. If there are, as you can foresee, students living in this house, that would be a great place to hang out, right? And potentially late night hangout. So if there were other 3-story buildings surrounding this property and everybody had a rooftop patio, maybe that's just perfectly fine. But I just see that as a big big difference from what's existing and from a compatibility perspective in this neighborhood. Any other? Yes, Commissioner Spears?
Just to clarify, this is for a use permit, correct?
That's correct.
It's not for design.
Correct.
It's not for rezoning. It's simply a use permit, and there are the 5 criteria that have to be met. Just a little reminder.
Yeah. Yeah, Commissioner Lloyd?
Yes, and under that premise, I'm having kind of a hard time reconciling the fact that probably per the letter of what we're here to approve, it might pass the muster, except I'm not quite convinced that there won't be a nuisance, right? And we can't foresee the future, but I feel like there are red flags. And so I'm not sure how to necessarily vote based upon what's in black and white versus what I think the reality is. That's my conflict. I am.
Because I wasn't sure. Could we solve
No, that was more of a
Okay.
just follow up to Commissioner Spears.
Well, I would agree. I would follow
Commissioner
up.
Richter?
Yeah, I would follow up to where the only thing about this that really causes me pause is the outdoor area. It's clearly overbuilding a very small lot but I don't see this being turned into separate units because there'd be no space to do so. But it's definitely going to be rented by students. So if we can eliminate the areas where they would congregate outside, that would help relieve some of the concern about being a nuisance outwards as opposed to what happens indoors.
Commissioner Young?
I'm just having a hard time understanding why a use permit is required for a single-family house when it's already at a multifamily classification. And that these other elements, whether each level is converted into an apartment or it's as an entire building rented out to students, I'm not against density. I love density. We need to densify as much as we can, but this doesn't, they don't match. I don't understand the use permit change for a single family when it's in a multifamily and it looks like a multifamily. That's my hiccup, and I'm not sure what to do with that information. Just like when my fellow commissioner mentioned on that this is a multi-stage process, I don't know where to bring this up, but that's where I'm sitting right now, and I don't know how to hold that information.
Yes, Commissioner Young, it is in our zoning code that states that regardless of the zoning district, if a single-story family residence is rebuilt to 2 stories or above, or a second story is added to an existing single-family or single-story residence, it requires the use permit. So it's more use-dependent than zoning-dependent.
Any other questions? Commissioner Richter?
To that point, it sounds like the purpose of that use permit requirement is to have a discussion in a public forum about the appropriateness of whatever's being suggested being built. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement, yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay, we'll close out the public comment period and move on to commissioner discussion. Any discussion to start before a motion? Commissioner Spears?
The issue with the patio, the upper space, would seem like that's something that the owner should look at and address what's really going on with the property and to make it more consistent with what the neighbor is. Unfortunately, this is a neighborhood in transition, and this isn't the only case we're going to see on this. They're going to be coming in one by one by one. I would prefer to see a single-family residence going in as to another apartment building, which is going to be a bigger use, because let's just say they put 4 units on there. That's going to be 8 to 10 people, depending on how it's configured, and so that although this is a change from what's there, it actually does fit with what the general plan is calling for and the character area in terms of looking at changing the housing stock and encouraging owner-occupied. So yes, there may be some issues. It may not be the perfect project, but we have approved other 3-story units in the building. We've approved 8-story units, 10-story units. So I think that in terms of, unfortunately, it is an area in transition. It's not always going to remain those little houses. They're going away. So that's it.
Other discussion? Go
Chairman
ahead, Commissioner Miller.
The problem that I'm having with this is that the particular area needs to be redeveloped. We kind of agree with that. On the other hand, it's how to do it, and putting a project like this in, essentially shoehorning this project into a very small area, creates a lot of issues in terms of parking, in terms of potentially noise, but nuisance and all that stuff. But unless you look at a comprehensive solution for that street and how to package a lot of properties together and then turn it into something very different, I think we're going to be looking at a lot of these particular projects and turning them into a piecemeal redevelopment of an area that needs to have a more comprehensive solution.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller.
And Chair Johnson, members of the commission, hearing that that rooftop patio on the east side is a concern, you can add a condition of approval to shrink that space to a much smaller size. If you like, that is an option.
I actually was curious about this. On the west side, what's preventing anyone from going to the other side of that patio into that rooftop space?
There are some walls, 3 foot high, small, short walls, but there also are some walls on the south side. And then the north side is blocked by, there's an angled roof.
Okay. So conceivably, there could be a condition of approval to have the west or the east patio match the west patio, something along those,
Correct.
so that it's pulled back from the edge of the building.
Correct.
Commissioner Richter?
I was gonna say, because we're in transition, I'd be supportive of removing specifically the west patio and shrinking the east patio that faces the street. They have ample parking, which helps with the concern about traffic, not traffic on the street, but parking on the street. But clearly, until more properties either get combined or redeveloped, there's a bunch of single-family homes, and there are a few properties that are 3 stories the street over with balconies. There's still a high likelihood of nuisance with a high student population.
So I would be in support of a condition along those lines to eliminate the west and shrink the east balcony. I do want to state that I appreciate what the city has done to help minimize the impacts of this development. Specifically the north and south windows being less viewable to the exterior from the interior, and just the time that you took to help minimize those impacts, additional impacts to the surrounding properties. I would be again in support of an additional condition for approval to get my support for this project. If there's any other comments, happy to entertain those or a motion. Commissioner Lloyd?
One more question for Mr. Mencio. Following up on Commissioner Miller's comment about looking at this more holistically, is there anything the city can do moving forward to kind of reassess what we're looking at over here on Bernardin and Rita? And because these are really small streets that I think everybody understands aren't going to continue to be these single-family homes forever. And perhaps instead of looking at this on a piecemeal approach, everyone might be happier with the end result if there was something more proactively done about the long-term planning for these streets. Thoughts on that?
Commissioner Lloyd, that's where the character area plan comes in. That's where the long-range vision for this area is established. As far as some type of protections for the single level, single story, or single.
More that it's thoughtfully done and not all of these on their own, unless we just leave it up to the free market for an assemblage, right? Is there anything a bit more methodical the city can do to have a say in the outcome here versus just a character area, which may or may not be implemented when it comes down to coming forward for approvals, but then it is a little more strategic in how it's planned?
That's a great question that I'm not sure I have an answer for right now.
Something for consideration, because as Commissioner Spears stated, this isn't going to be the last one we're going to see. So maybe we need to evaluate this and take a step back on these, in this particular area.
Any motions or additional comments? Commissioner Spears?
I move for the approval of PL 260041 with the stipulation added that the balconies will be reconfigured to reflect a no on the west side, no western, so shrinking the size of the overhead.
So to clarify, no balcony
No
on the
balcony on the
west
west
side
side.
and shrinking the east balcony?
Yes.
All right, so there's a motion for approval with an added stipulation for the elimination of the balcony on the west and a reduction in size of the balcony on the east to work through with city staff. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Richter. Sorry, that was proposed by Commissioner Spears, seconded by Commissioner Richter. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, and Commissioner Miller, are you in favor or opposed?
I am opposed because I do not feel that this
That's all
particular.
you just need to say, opposed. Thank you, we're taking a vote.
Opposed.
And then any others opposed? Okay, so Commissioner Miller and Commissioner Young are in opposition, with the rest voting for approval. All right. Let's move on to item number 4C, which is request use permit to allow a drive-through restaurant in the CSS zoning district for Dutch Bros Coffee located at 1801 East Southern Avenue. Could the applicant please approach? Do we have the applicant here? She's online. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Liz Koner?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Please present your case tonight.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Liz. I am here with Core States Engineering. We are here on behalf of Dutch Bros Coffee for tonight's Development Review Committee hearing for the proposed Dutch Bros Coffee with a dual lane drive-through with walk-up service window proposed for 1801 East Southern Avenue in Tempe. For this project, we are requesting 2 use permits, one for Dutch Bros shop and drive-through service, and the other for increased parking to better support operations such as employee parking during shift change. One of the key features of this proposal is Dutch Bros runner-based service model. Employees take orders and process payment directly at the vehicle while customers are in line, allowing drinks to be prepared before they reach the service window. This approach helps maintain a steady flow through the drive-through, minimizing unnecessary idling, and allows for the queue to be actively managed by employees. The additional parking primarily accommodates employees, customers utilizing the walk-up service window, and mobile order customers, providing another way for customers to access the site without relying on the drive-through. The project is located at 1801 East Southern Avenue at the southeast corner of Southern Avenue and McClintock Drive. The property is within an established commercial area and is currently developed with a vacant former bank. The proposal would redevelop the site with a new Dutch Bros coffee shop. The project consists of a 1,060 square foot Dutch Bros coffee shop with a dual drive-through lanes and bypass lane. The building also includes a walk-up service window with a covered canopy, and a total of 19 parking spaces are provided, including ADA accessible parking and dedicated spaces for mobile order customers. The site plan is organized across a 0.96 acre corner property with a compact building footprint and clearly defined areas for drive-through circulation, pedestrian access, and site operations. The blue arrows illustrate the drive-through circulation and vehicle movement through the site, including the dual lane and bypass lane, which is shown in the red arrows. The highlighted pedestrian pathways show the dedicated routes to and from the building, while the covered canopy and other highlighted areas identify key customer and service functions. 2 driveways provide restricted right in and right out access, and the trash enclosure is located separately from the primary customer circulation. Overall, the layout clearly separates vehicle movement, pedestrian access, and service functions to support safe and organized operation of the site. The floor plan is compact and designed specifically around Dutch Bros service model. 3 drink stations, allow multiple orders to be prepared simultaneously, while supporting spaces include a walk-in cooler, employee office and restroom, and dedicated fire riser and electrical rooms. The layout keeps the operational functions contained within a relatively small building footprint while supporting the volume and pace of the drive-through operation. The building has a maximum height of 24 feet to the top of the parapet with rooftop equipment fully screened from view. The architecture incorporates several elements that add visual interest and help break up the building's compact footprint. These include the tower feature, awnings over the service doors and windows, the canopy over the walk-up service area, and variations in facade materials, color, and form. The exterior palette includes fiber cement siding, plaster, and stone veneer. Together, these materials provide a durable and cohesive contemporary appearance that complements the surrounding commercial area. The project has been designed to address the key areas of consideration for this proposed use. First, the vehicle and pedestrian traffic. A traffic impact study was completed to evaluate the project's effect on the surrounding roadway network. The analysis used actual Dutch Bros operational data and conservative traffic assumptions. Based on the analysis, the study concluded that the project can be accommodated without roadway improvements or signal modifications, with additional traffic expected to increase overall intersection delay by approximately 1 second or less during peak periods. The site is also designed to support efficient vehicle circulation and dual drive-through lanes, a bypass lane, and queuing capacity for 23 vehicles. Combined with the Dutch Bros operating practices described earlier, these features help keep vehicles moving through the site and minimize unnecessary idling. The queue analysis found that the drive-through demand is expected to remain contained within the designated drive-through lanes more than 99% of the time. In the rare instance the demand exceeds the 23 vehicle storage capacity, the site provides additional flexibility through a bypass lane and available parking areas. Dutch Bros staff will also actively manage vehicle queuing and circulation as needed to help keep traffic contained on site. Pedestrian circulation is also incorporated into the site design with dedicated pedestrian connections and clearly marked crossings providing access to the walk-up service area. Second, nuisance impacts. The project is a small-scale coffee shop use with no industrial or other high-impact activities. Site design and operations are intended to minimize potential impacts related to odor, dust, noise, and glare, shielded lighting, landscaping, and screening, and the containment of service and operational functions within the site will contribute to minimizing impacts on surrounding properties. Third, neighborhood compatibility and general plan consistency. The property is designated commercial in the city's general plan, and the proposed restaurant is consistent with the commercial land use designation. The site is also located within an established commercial area surrounded by other commercial and service areas. The proposal would redevelop an existing vacant commercial property with new, relatively small-scale commercial building while incorporating landscaping, pedestrian connections, and architectural features that help integrate the development into the surrounding area. Fourth, compatibility with the existing surrounding structures and uses. The proposed building is appropriately scaled for the site and incorporates architectural articulation, varied materials, landscaping, and screened rooftop equipment to create a cohesive commercial development. The proposed use is also compatible with the surrounding mix of commercial businesses and is designed to function within the existing pattern of development. Fifth, adequate control of disruptive behavior. The site will have employees present throughout the business hours, providing active oversight of customer activity and site operations. The design incorporates clearer circulation, defined service areas, pedestrian pathways, appropriate lighting, landscaping, and crime prevention through environmental design, or CPTED, principles that promote visibility and natural surveillance. These features, combined with on-site staffing and clearly organized layout, provide reasonable controls to help prevent and address disruptive behavior. Taken together, these elements demonstrate that the project can operate as an active commercial use while remaining compatible with the surrounding properties in the broader neighborhood. In closing, this proposal represents the redevelopment of an existing vacant commercial site with a use that is consistent with the surrounding area and the city's land use framework. The project has been thoughtfully designed to address circulation, traffic, architecture, pedestrian access, parking, and day-to-day operations within the site. For those reasons, we believe the proposed use is appropriate for this location, and we respectfully request the committee's approval of this use permit. Thank you, and we're available to answer any questions.
Any questions for the applicant? Okay. Let's see. Again, Mr. Monsleo. Busy night for you.
All right. Thank you, Chair Johnson, members of the commission. This is, and I actually need to, clarify that this is a request only for a use permit for a drive-through. When this was initially submitted, we did have a requirement for a use permit for parking over 120% of the required parking, which obviously for a building this size is fairly low. But since the applicant is providing less than 20 spaces, that use permit is no longer needed. So this is just a use permit for a drive-through restaurant in the CSS zoning district. And as we can see, this is on the southeast corner of McClintock and Southern. Here are some site context photos of the existing building. And it is a former bank building. So this is from Southern, looking south. This is inside the property at the southeast corner. And here is the site plan. Entrances are on McClintock and Southern. Those are designed as right in, right out only, with a traffic median in the middle to ensure that that pattern does happen. The entrance to the queue lines are towards the southeast corner of the property, and they wrap around in an upside-down U configuration. 2 lines to start. They do converge to 1 line once traffic gets to that building itself. There is space for, I believe it's 25 vehicles queuing at the southern end of that queue line. And there is 19 spaces being provided on site. Here is the landscape plan. This is the north half looking at Southern, where tree species are the fruitless olive, and there are palo verdes along McClintock, and thornless honey locust internal to the site, along with other ground covers and shrubs. And here is the southern portion of the site with similar species of tree throughout the site. As we've seen, here are the elevations. And this is the material board itself. Looking at stone veneer along the wainscot at the bottom, and then painted stucco plaster along the remainder of the building. And here is a floor plan of the site itself. The bottom is where customer walk-up is. There is no internal customers with tables and chairs or anything like that. And here is a rendering. This is really accurate only for the building itself. This does not convey the landscape that's being provided. Getting into the approval criteria. Number 1, any significant increase in vehicular or pedestrian traffic. This is going to increase traffic, just the change of use from a bank to a drive-through coffee shop. The hours themselves this is going to be open, proposed from 5 in the morning to 11 at night, will increase traffic, both vehicular and pedestrian, throughout the day. As stated, those double drive-through lanes will hold 25 vehicles before encroaching into the drive lane. If traffic does encroach into that drive lane, there's an extra 13 vehicle capacity before it hits the right-of-way, and there are 19 spaces on site. The Tempe Transportation Department has reviewed the traffic impact study, and that has been reviewed and accepted. And the Transportation Department has also requested that ingress egress for Southern and McClintock be right in, right out. And those traffic islands, pork chops, have been installed to create that driving pattern. Number 2, nuisances arising from emission of odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke. With the addition of such a large drive-through lane, that will create odor, dust, and heat from car emissions due wait time. As we've heard, wait times will be short, but that will increase with this. There is new proposed landscaping and a 3-foot high screen wall along the north and west to screen that drive-through aisle from public view. And again, 13 trees along street frontages and 15 internal to the site will help to mitigate those conditions. Contribution to the deterioration of the neighborhood or to the downgrade of property values. This is an improvement to a closed bank, so it will meet the objectives of neighborhood revitalization and is a sustainable solution to the redevelopment. Compatibility with existing structures and uses. This intersection is a heavy commercial area with several restaurants, markets, and other businesses of this scale and larger. So the proposed building is compatible with neighboring buildings to the south and east. And finally, adequate control of disruptive behavior, both inside and outside the premise. This is not expected to have issues of disruptive behavior to the general public or the surrounding area. Neighborhood meeting was not required for this, and staff has received 4 emails in opposition. Some of the items in those opposition emails were increased traffic, number of police calls may increase due to groups of teens and homeless population that may congregate. Staff is recommending approval subject to conditions, and one non-standard condition is that the hours of operation are to end no later than 11 p.m. on a daily basis. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff? Okay, thank you very much. At this point, we'll open up the public comment period. If you are here and wishing to speak on this item, please bring one of these comment cards forward to Ms. Berry. The one that I have is Lauren Whitaker. If you could please approach and restate your name and city of residence.
Good evening, Chair Johnson and Commissioners. My name is Lauren Whitaker. How's that?
Better.
Okay, great. Good evening, Chair Johnson and Commissioners. My name is Lauren Whitaker. I'm here to speak about the Dutch Brothers permit for the location at 1801 East Southern Avenue. I live in a neighborhood adjacent to that. And if it's okay, I'm just going to read my comments too. Okay. To begin with, I'd like to cover the topic of traffic and safety. So this isn't a one-time issue with Dutch Brothers drive-throughs where they run into stacking and traffic trouble wherever they open. There have been a couple of instances in Arizona with Dutch Brothers. There was one in Phoenix where they closed a location and relocated it due to traffic backup and traffic congestion. There was also an instance in Queen Creek where there was a location that ended up, the commissioners, I think, postponed approval of the permit because of traffic issues that were anticipated and a traffic study that they wanted to have more information about. The applicant's own numbers that were just reviewed show that the drive-through lanes can hold about 25 cars before spilling into the site's other drive aisles, and about 13 more before backing up into traffic. So I can tell you as a resident of the area, that right-hand lane from McClintock onto Southern backs up frequently just in regular traffic flow during rush hour and peak traffic times. And there isn't anything there on that corner right now that would cause any additional congestion. Tempe's traffic impact study for this, I don't know if it's finalized. I think it's been submitted. I'm asking the commission to not approve until the permit process is fully completed, and also to potentially look at other issues where traffic has been impacted. This is a corner that doesn't have a lot of give for additional traffic. Second, this site sits close to McClintock High School. More cars queuing up here means that more congestion will happen right when students are walking and driving to and from campus. I think that's a dangerous mix with inexperienced drivers at that time. Third, Maricopa County's Air Quality Department has said coffee drive-throughs lines add to ozone pollution because of all of the idling engines. A landscape buffer won't necessarily change that. Please don't add another source of vehicle emissions to a neighborhood that already deals with a lot of noise and traffic congestion on the freeways. They have been expanded. There's a lot of traffic and emission in that area. Finally.
Yeah. Go ahead and wrap up. Yep.
Okay.
Wrap up. Thank
I
you.
didn't realize, sorry. Finally, I just want to mention, this intersection has 3 other coffee shops with drive-throughs, okay? 2 of them are locally owned. One is a Starbucks. I don't know what the capacity is for coffee drive-throughs at this particular intersection. It seems like there's already quite a bit in that area. I have a fear that this will pull business away from those locally owned shops and add just additional traffic and congestion in that area generally.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. All right, was anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Okay, if the applicant would like to address any comments, we are ready to hear them.
Yes, I would. I'd like to first note, I know it was discussed regarding the existing Tempe Dutch Bros location. I would like to identify, and it's important to note that this existing or this new proposed site utilizes the new prototype for Dutch Bros, as well as much more robust in what it offers for the on-site circulation and queuing capacity. We certainly understand the traffic concerns. We did have a very conservative traffic report that was reviewed by city staff. And within the traffic report, it confirms that our queuing on site is not expected to spill out of the stacking. It's supposed to be maintained within the stacking, at least 99% of the time. So with that, it'd be very minimal where there would be events where we would be exceeding on-site circulation. And with that, we would also be able to implement the bypass lane for waiting customers, as well as on-site parking to kind of direct some of that traffic. We also have discussed the idling previously, but just to note, the service model does offer much more efficient service. So in most Dutch Bros locations, you're going to notice a much reduced idling time than you would in a traditional drive-through situation.
Thank you. Were there any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Young?
Howdy, thank you for your presentation. I had a couple of questions. You'd mentioned that this is multimodal accessible, but then you only mentioned vehicle, pedestrian, and walk-up mobile order. Are there other forms of transportation, including bike locking and infrastructure, that you've included in your plan that I might have missed?
Yes, certainly. We do intend to offer 2 bicycle spaces. I believe that was noted to be included when we go into the permitting level, but that is something that we intend to incorporate into the site. We also have a nearby bus stop, so it certainly caters to modes of transportation in that way as well.
Thank you. The second question that I had is on plant palette. I noticed in your presentation that what was it, the honeysuckle something?
Honey locust?
Yeah, thank you. Is noted as one of the options on there. However, I don't believe that falls under the preferred plant palette for the city of Tempe, especially when we're looking at our water conservation goals. I was curious to what extent you have in your current planning process to run your landscape through the desert adapted palettes.
Yes, certainly. It's something that we can continue to look at. I know that the tree selections were made both for drought tolerance considerations as well as mature canopy size to offer extended shading for the site.
Awesome. And also, thumbs up on adding one additional tree after the 12 that are being removed. So I'm glad there's at least one additional tree going in there. And then last question, do you know what percentage of your site plan is adding to the concrete or asphalt in comparison to the past development that you're replacing?
Apologize, let me see if I have that number available here quickly.
The only reason why I'm asking is with our increasing heat in the Phoenix metro, reducing embedded heat through asphalt and concrete is a high priority for the city, especially in some of our strategic goals. And so I'd be curious at some point, I don't know when we would bring that up within the life cycle of development, but be curious to know. And those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Commissioner Mr. Monsillo, was there anything else you wanted to add?
Yes, thank you, Chair Johnson. I could clarify some of those points for you, Commissioner Young. This is for the use permit for the drive-through. The applicant is also going through a development plan review. So the landscape plan is part of that. So we can review tree species and work with them on that. As far as percentage of landscape cover currently, I believe the proposed is reducing landscaping compared to what's out there now, but they are still meeting the requirement for landscaping for this site.
Any questions for staff? No? Okay. Thank you very much. All right, we will close out the public comment period and move on to commissioner discussion or motions. Commissioner Young?
Just one topic of discussion, and it seems like a lot of my questions are not yet understanding the full life cycle of development, so I want to apologize to the commissioners and the audience members for going through this learning journey with me. But the question that I have, it references our public comment and the impact on the density of coffee service in this area, noting two long-term coffee businesses that are, for example, Gold Bar and Extreme Bean, I believe, are the two locally owned. Oh, okay. Is there a point at all in this development or in the life cycle of this where we're weighing any future development against local business versus franchise or large scale?
I'm seeing heads shaking to the right and left.
Great answer. Thank you.
Yeah, no, yeah, I just did hear that Gold Bar is closing, which is a sad passing of that business, local business. But maybe opening up some demand in the area, so. Any other comments or motions? Commissioner Lloyd?
I'll just make a comment kind of related to what I mentioned in study session. I have and had concerns about traffic and queuing. I do think that this newer and improved model based, compared to maybe some of the retrofitting that Dutch Bros had done on previous sites has alleviated a lot of those traffic concerns. So again, based upon what we're here to decide regarding use permit, I think my concerns were addressed.
Commissioner Richter?
My comment would only be about the point Commissioner Young mentioned, talked about with the desert species with all the storms that we've had. I was taking a quick look at what was being proposed in board, and it would be interesting to find out if we could maybe step any approvals to using a desert adaptive or native plant palette, even in board off of the right of way.
I concur. Thank you. Any motions? Commissioner Lloyd?
I make a motion to approve item 4C.
Okay, there's a motion. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Miller, did you have any comments? I apologize for that. I wanted to check in with you first.
No, but I'll second the motion.
Okay. So there is a motion for the approval by Commissioner Lloyd and seconded by Commissioner Miller. All those in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
And verbally, remotely, thank you. So that passes unanimously. Okay, with that, we will move on to commission member announcements. Were there any announcements by the commissioners? Seeing none. Any city staff announcements?
No, Mr. Chairman, we'll just see you on August 25th at 5:15, please.
Okay, again, the next scheduled meeting date is August 25th, 2026, and we are starting that study session early. Instead of 5:30, it will be 5:15. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.